Long time no talk. Fans? Would would we
Fellow
call them
friends.
fans? Friends? Friends. Long time no talk, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Hockey Actually. Reporting to you live from the Pacific Coliseum. I'm Izzy. This is Nicolleta. And
Not live from the Coliseum, from my abode.
abode. And we've got some exciting little milestones to talk about today. Course, today, the recording date being April 23rd. I don't know if this is going to drop on April 23rd or not. Probably not, but April 23rd is actually the 1 year anniversary of the PWHL officially expanding to Vancouver. So, yeah, it's been 1 year. Kind of
It's
feels
already
crazy to
already
me.
been a year, yeah.
I know, right? Like,
Season almost ending.
season's almost ending, and it's kind of almost like a little neat, I would say that the season end is around the same time as the 1 year anniversary of expansion, right? It's got a little, a neat little tie in there. Of course, I'm sure many people would have hoped that the season would not be ending at the end of April and maybe a little later, but I mean, that's okay. It's expansion team inaugural season, and on to better things for the next year, right?
I think all things considered, they did decently well. They weren't last. We take it. We take it,
That's
folk.
true. That's true. And you know, uh, on ice results aside, I think this year Vancouver really proved that they deserve a PWHL team.
It
Seattle
was
as
great
well. Let's
successful.
let's not forget Seattle. Seattle's been great, and of course the on ice rivalry has been really neat to see between Vancouver and Seattle. But both markets in general, just it feels like they've exceeded expectations almost. But I think people knew that that was going to happen even heading into it. But yeah, it's been 1 year since expansion. Crazy to think about. What would you say has been maybe your favorite moment of the season since, or doesn't even have to be during the season? Favorite moments since expansion was announced last year.
Oh, that's a tricky question. There's so many good moments. I feel like Sarah Nurse's first goal at the Coliseum was just you knew then there in that moment that this was like real and it shaped kind of everyone's perspective on, you know what, this is official, this is a team, and we're all here together. Like the Coliseum was so loud.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was probably my favorite moment. And continuing forward, even though there weren't a lot of wins necessarily, I think there was a lot to be happy and proud of as Vancouver fans. So,
Oh yeah. Oh
what
yeah.
about you?
It's tough because I also want to go home opener, but I'm also like I feel like I should pick something else. So honestly, I might go. Hmm, I'm gonna go before the season actually even started. I'm gonna go into expansion, and I'm gonna go with the day of the exclusive signing window when Vancouver fans first got their first look at like the five players that would ultimately, like the five players who were first signed, who would ultimately become really key parts of this roster. I mean, from Claire Thompson signing first to having Sophie Jakes hit 50 points, the first defender in PWHL history to do that. Uh, who else? And then Sarah Nurse, of course, right? I feel like when that signing came out, I was like,
Is
I
it
beg your
lit?
pardon, who? I'm like, you mean the Sarah Nurse? Like, just things like that, and seeing the roster construction, like seeing them sign Emmerich Smashmeyer and even Jen Gardner being able to kind of come back home, right, and become this hometown hero. And of course, she had a 4 goal game last week, right?
Nailed
Like
it.
all of, I know, right? Like like all five of those players, I feel like have been such key pieces to establishing this inaugural season identity, right? And I feel like as much as the in-season moments were very big, this as well, kind of for fans watching their team kind of start to take form, right? That's something that stands out to me.
For sure. I
Yeah,
think it
yeah.
was also cool to see that, it wasn't only those first five people that really stepped up to bring shape to the Goldeneyes and their culture. You know, you had people like Katie Chan who really stepped up and like proved their worth to have a spot on the team. And it
Mhm.
was cool to see, like, even when the three new girls came, well, okay, new, not so new anymore, but
The
you know, when
trade
the trade, yeah,
acquisitions, yeah.
the trade acquisitions, how they really implemented themselves into the team. And, you know, it kind of felt like once that trade happened, things were starting to feel a lot more solidified. Not that they weren't prior to that, but it felt like once those three girls really integrated themselves, there was momentum and solid momentum. You know, whether we were winning or losing, there just was more consistency on the ice.
Hmm.
So,
A lot more cohesion too, right? Like
yeah.
more connected, right? Yeah. And I think, I mean, now that some time has passed, I think it's kind of one of those things that pending expansion and any roster changes that come in the off season, it's something that they're going to build on next year, right? But again, with expansion and everything, who knows what's going to happen? So,
Yeah.
yeah, we will see, as always.
Yep. We really do need to get one of those buttons.
A button, we
Yeah.
will see. But April 23rd also marks another kind of milestone in Vancouver hockey history because the Abbotsford Canucks actually started their 2025 Calder Cup playoff run 1 year ago today. So we've got a couple. April 23rd was a really big day for Vancouver hockey in 2025
Yeah.
when you think about it. And of course, you, we didn't know at the time that Abbotsford was eventually going to go through and win the Calder Cup, but I mean, if anything, it's just a milestone, a metaphor that kind of marks the start of something that would ultimately be a very big piece in Canucks and Abbotsford Canucks history. So yeah, two pretty big milestones on April 23rd. But uh on the topic of memorable moments and stuff, of course the Vancouver Canucks season has officially wrapped. And now that the season is over, I was thinking we could go over some memorable moments. They don't have to be positive, is what I will say. Just because I don't know if there's going to be many positive things, but I
I
don't know. Like we could pick things that stand out.
Well, I mean, I think evidently the Quinn Hughes trade was probably the biggest moment in the entire season. And there's no doubt about that. You can't deny it. It was there. It happened. It was big. Probably
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest thing to shape the end of the season as well. Kind of it changed a lot of, you know, like the first domino fell and then
Mm-hmm. And then everything kind of fell from there.
yep, fell through there.
Arguably, that might be one of the most memorable moments in franchise history, period. Not to like, of course, maybe from a negative perspective or like from a, overall culture perspective. Who knows? But like, it's definitely something that, in a few years, people are going to look back and be like nobody's going to forget about that, right?
No, it's a defining moment and it truly was like the thing that marked the reconstruction, you know, the re not even rebranding, the rebuild
The
of
shift.
the shift.
Mm-hmm. The
But
shift.
as much as people are like, actually, I don't think people are that upset about it now, given what's
Oh,
been
yeah.
happening. I don't think that's much of a problem anymore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I think whether I think it happened probably for the best
Mm-hmm.
because even though there were a lot of really rocky times after that initial goodbye, um, I think where we stand now, while it's definitely not like a Stanley Cup playoff caliber team or whatever, they're identifying team culture and proving that they want to be in Vancouver. Like you've got kids like Zivu Buyam, Ogren, Willander, Carlson, DPD, you know, all the Swedes are coming in
I
to
don't know
prove
if you
themselves.
I don't know if you've been keeping up with social media and stuff, but when the players have been doing their end of season posts and stuff, every time I look in the
Every
comments section, booyah, DPD, like everybody's commenting. Nils Hoglander's another guy too, and it's
Yes.
fun to see that team culture and cohesion part come back, right?
Yeah, it's really reminding me of like the Abbotsford Canucks and the way
Mm-hmm.
that they sort of felt during the Calder Cup. Like you knew that this wasn't just a team of hockey players, this was a team of friends who wanted to win together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another really memorable moment for me this year was when I can't remember who came out with the video, but watching like Buiam, Willander,
Oh,
and is it
DP,
Patterson? Yeah,
the fight
DP fighting each other
that
after
was
practice. I
that
was
was
like, okay,
Tyson, our
yeah,
good,
oh
our friend
yes,
of the program, Tyson Cole, came out with that video. Yeah, that was and I feel like even after that, you started to see them kind of stand up for each other on the ice as well, right? And it wasn't just the young guys, although they were doing that too. I remember there was one game, I think it was against the Kings at home, when Booyam actually fought, right?
yeah. And I love that, like we need to re-sign him. Re-sign the man, re-sign the giant, okay? Like, I feel as though it is so important to allow your top players like William to really feel comfortable and open to do what they want to do without having fear that they're going to get beat up,
Yeah.
you know? So that like message from Curtis Douglas being like, "Hey, look, like do whatever you want. I'm
Mm-hmm.
here for you and I will
Yeah.
like that to me, while it might be like a minuscule thing in retrospect, it is so important to establish that kind of camaraderie and teamship moving forward.
Oh yeah.
So I was
Absolutely.
really
Mm-hmm.
happy to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
I'm
I mean, yeah, and he's relatively like young too, right? Like this isn't like a older guy. Douglas is like 26, right? So in theory, if he were to come back on like a cheaper sort of deal and provide that role, I feel like it's definitely doable, right? And I think especially with the comment that he made, a lot of people are kind of starting to be like, hey,
there's value.
maybe they should re-sign this guy, right? Yeah. So
Yeah, for sure. And it's nice to see the team and oh, I love that the older guys are mixing in with the younger guys, and it's like, it's not just young and old or like
mhm,
what was going on in 2025, no, 2024, 2025, where it's like,
mhm,
you have the PD and the Miller sides. It's like
mhm.
they're combined.
Everybody, yeah. Mhm.
It's a team.
It's a team. Yes, it's a team, not a club.
What
Yeah.
about you? What was your defining moment?
To put a positive spin on it, and it's hard to do this, but I'll take it in a positive route. I want to say those final 4 games of the season where they went on that 3-game win streak. Like in retrospect, it's probably not a big thing. I mean, you look at other teams that are competing in the Stanley Cup playoffs right now, right? But for a team like Vancouver that's gone on multiple long losing streaks to put together a little win streak like that to round out the season, even if they didn't end the season on a win, to have that, I think, is something that kind of lifts the mood a little in the room, right? That you're not just like, sulking and mopey to end the season, but you've kind of gone off on a little bit of a high note, right? And kind of it helps, right? Like especially with so many young guys in the room, you don't want them to get used to losing, right? So I don't know. I feel like that maybe that for now. Obviously not the most defining of the season. There have been many other things, trades, and of course you mentioned Quinn Hughes, stuff like that. But I'll go with that to keep things positive for the time being.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as they're having fun and they're motivated to win, I don't think that there's much more you can ask for as a fan.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Like you, I think the problem was at the beginning of the year that evidently so the team just didn't feel like a team. So people were
Hmm.
upset because not only are we watching terrible hockey, but we're watching our team lose and lose interest in their own game, you know?
Hmm.
Whereas, like you said at the end, where it's like you piece together those little winning streaks, but it seemed like they actually had fuel and fire.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
you see people like Besser, who, kind of went on a little dry spell, and then he is like, hello, hello, good sir, welcome back, thank you. And then you had Jake DeBrusk with all the power play goals, and it was just so nice to see that.
Hmm.
Because it's like, okay, you know what? It's not just the younger guys who are pulling threads trying to keep everyone together. It's like your veterans are seeing the value in that and stepping up in ways that they should be. Maybe not necessarily to the caliber of what we would like them to, but they're still stepping up, and that's a win in my books.
Exactly, yeah. And especially it's at a point in the season where realistically, like you're almost just playing things out, right? You could very easily, if you wanted to, just roll over and call it a season, right? But they're putting in that work, right? They're stringing together those wins again, all three in overtime, but like you're still winning, right? And these players, like you mentioned, Bess or DeBrusque, they're finding success. And I think, yeah, I don't know, it's just a positive way to end the season. One thing that kind of I feel like I don't want to say derailed that, but really shifted things in terms of what made the end of the season memorable is the fact that a day after, maybe not even a day after the Canucks wrapped up their season, general manager Patrick Alvin was fired.
Goodbye. So long, farewell.
Like, I think a lot of people expected change to come, but not that quickly, right? Like, not the next day.
I don't think, yeah, I agree. I think it was bad. Like, I'm glad. I'm just waiting for Rutherford to hit the books. But, you know, when they announced it, I think everyone knew that it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be so for real right now, that guy was so bad at his job. Like, you had one job and you messed it up time and time and time and time again. So get some new faces in, may as well. Rebuild the management team, rebuild everything. I also think they should rebuild the coaching staff, but that's a conversation for later.
Which is so interesting because with all the GM talk now, during end of season media, when Rutherford addressed everybody about the search for the GM, who could be some potential names, the one of the first names that he threw out there was Abbotsford Canucks general manager Ryan Johnson, which is interesting in my opinion, just because if your goal is to take the team in a new direction, bringing up somebody that's still in the organization, I feel like that could be beneficial. But if you also want a new look at things, I don't know if that's what you want to do, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, honestly, anybody, I can't say anybody. Most people would be better than Alvin. Most people. So a change is a good change in my books. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I also think
Mm-hmm.
it might be good because clearly he's good at his job. I mean, he's doing pretty well for the Abbotsford Canucks. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to have that now
Mm-hmm.
for a bigger team, but yeah, I don't know. I guess
Honestly, I think where my issue is with that is if Rutherford stays on and Johnson becomes the GM. Because then in that way, in my opinion, you're not really getting much of a change. Like, of course,
yeah.
we all know that like a lot of the moves that the Canucks made were kind of in tandem with Alvin and Rutherford's thinking, right? If it kind of sticks in that direction where it's a Ryan Johnson, Jim Rutherford like combo pairing, I don't know if there's going to be as much change as we think there would be. But to give, I guess, credit, I don't know, credit where credit is due, Rutherford did kind of also say in his season ending presser that retirement was something that did come to mind, right? I think if anything,
Sorry. So you say.
You're like, oh, I like, and I do think
He's old,
for
right? Sorry, not to be mean, but like that guy is old.
77.
Brother, go live your life. Like, I'm sorry, continue.
No,
I
I get it. I do think one of those things where it's like if you do truly want change, wholesale change, it's gotta be like, can't just be one person, right? It can't just be Alvin. And as for coaching, where that takes the Canucks from a coaching standpoint, who knows, right? Like, of course, that'll be up to the GM, whoever they end up being, whoever they end up hiring, whether Adam Foote comes back or not. One notable thing is the fact that Foote did not do end of season media, which usually the coach does do end of season media. Rick Tocchet did end of season media last year. So it's interesting because I think his job really is in limbo right now, Adam Foote, but whether he does end up staying or not will really depend on who ends up coming in as GM.
Yeah, I mean, not that I'm opposed to him staying, but I'm definitely not opposed to him leaving. Like, he didn't do anything bad necessarily, but he didn't really do anything good.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like he put a lot of blame on the players and didn't take accountability as a coach, which I don't appreciate because at the end of the day, you're like, yes, your captain and your assistant captains should be, helping out in the locker room, but you are the voice in the room. You are telling them what to do. You are the force of nature that will them to want to be better, And for you to just say like, oh, they're not listening or they don't have any motivation. It's like, okay, why don't they have any motivation? But
Gee, I wonder.
isn't that part of your job? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
think personally, I am always of the stance that Manny Malhotra deserves that job, but that is just a me opinion.
where I think that gets interesting is, and actually that is a perfect segue into the next topic. If the Canucks end up in a spot where they can pick Manny Malhotra's son, Caleb Malhotra, with one of their first round picks, what's going to happen there, right? Like, if it, say you are whoever the GM is, and we of course it's been reported that the Canucks do have Malhotra pretty high on their list for the draft. If they end up losing the lottery and not picking first, like with that third overall pick, would they pick Malhotra? Would they pick someone else like Chase Reed? Would they trade the pick down to get more? Like, there's a lot of interesting things with that, and I would be kind of curious to see what would happen if, hypothetically speaking, Manny Malhotra is hired and then the Canucks draft Caleb Malhotra, right?
Yeah, that always becomes a sticky situation.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I mean, if they're doing things right, why wouldn't you want them both? It's the same way
Yep.
that the Jersey Devils, they're collecting Quinn Hughes or not Quinn Hughes. They're collecting Hughes is like it's
Hughes brothers.
yeah, the Hughes brothers, like you want what's good. So I see that being a problem, but in hindsight, it's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting thing to consider, right?
Yeah.
On the topic of Manny Malhotra, Caleb Malhotra, and former players who could potentially join, with the search of a GM comes a lot of people kind of putting out names there. And I think what interests me the most is a potentially former Canuck who could join the organization in a management role, right? Who, in your opinion, would you, if you were picking, who would you want to step into a management role from a former Canuck standpoint?
I think for funsies, I would say Roberto Luongo. because I think that that would just be hilarious. But I don't know. I think Bieksa would be a pretty decent choice as well, just because, he really understands the game. He knows the players. Like, he clearly still has ties to the Vancouver Canucks because you see, like, Buiam talking to him about what it's like to be a Vancouver Canucks player. And I feel like you could do a lot worse. Could do a lot worse. But I don't know. I think that would probably those would be my two choices. What about you?
Those two were also in my the ones I was thinking of just because I mean Luongo has management experience with the Panthers, right? I mean won two Stanley Cups with Florida in a management role. The ex of course knows the team, like you had mentioned, knows them well. He especially since starting his whole media career, he's kind of grown into more of like a speaker, right? And a face of a franchise, which could make sense. But I do kind of wonder with the Sedins already being in the organization, I don't know if that's something that would happen. I don't know if it's something they would do. But if it not like a GM perspective, but almost like a presidents of hockey operations kind of thing where they help out, or they're consultants. Of course, again, they are already in the organization as development coaches, but I don't know. It would, and maybe that's just nostalgia talking for me, but I do think it would be kind of neat to see that old 2011 team kind of reunited in a management role and to help the next generation. That would be really
That
poetic
would
if
be
they
really
ended up
cute. That
winning a
would be
Stanley
really
Cup
cute. Yeah.
with
That
them
would
in
be
management. But
full circle moment right there.
literally, especially with Manny Malhotra as coach. But I think we're getting ahead of ourselves, unfortunately.
We're being hopeful, and that's all
Hoping.
you can do as a Vancouver Canucks fan.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But the Sedin, that's a good shout, actually. I would be interested to see them take maybe not necessarily GM role, but take them on a like, whoa, English. Take on a big Sorry, I've been speaking Greek for 3 weeks. Take
Fair,
on a bigger
fair.
role in terms of where they lie in the organization. So not bad.
Yeah, it could be interesting. Who knows? But yeah, I think that's everything from us this week. Thank you all for listening. And I don't know when we'll be back. We'll probably be back soon, next week, week after. We'll see. But the season is now over for the Canucks. The Goldeneyes season will wrap on Saturday. Thank you all for listening again, and we will talk soon.